Hello everybody, it's Jake, aka Korean Jew Trading, and in this video I will be talking about the undervalued gem known as Lux Coin. And I have my friend Chris to help me with some technical stuff because, you know, Chris really specializes in privacy coins, mining. He's got extensive computer background, which I do not. So how you doing, Chris?
How's it going, Jake?
All right. Before we go any further, I'd like to let you know that this is not financial advice. This is our own research, opinion, and analysis. And, you know, do your own research. So, yeah, Lux Coin. First off, if you are not subscribed to my YouTube, you're losing, right? If you're not subscribed to my Twitter at Jew Korean, you are losing. If you are not in my Telegram group, you are losing. You want to know why? Because you're not getting my thoughts. Thoughts, right, Chris? Everybody wants thoughts. And if you don't have access to it first, you will not get them in a timely fashion. So make sure to hit that subscribe button, please. Turn on those notifications because, you know, this is important information. If you fashion yourself to be a cryptocurrency trader or investor, you want to get this information first, especially when it comes to an undervalued gem of this magnitude. So without any further ado, I'm going to explain why Lux it's not even an undervalued gem, Chris. It's not. That's an understatement, okay? I call this an infinity stone. That's what I said when I found it. I was like, I think I found the Tesseract. Because it just stood off the page to me as I started to research. And what happened was I was looking into it and I got really excited and I showed it to Chris, and Chris was a little skeptical at first. Right? And
yeah, it's my nature.
As the weeks passed, as we understood more about the project, as we spoke to the lead devs, we started to realize this is not just a regular run-of-the-mill, you know, Cryptopia coin. And I thought Lux was just merely a privacy coin because privacy coins, we look at all of them. That's how we came across Lux. We have a spreadsheet of all the privacy coins because you look at the top dogs. You have Dash, Monero, Zcash, H-Share. These are coins with Dash has $6 billion market cap, Monero $3 billion. And at one point, Dash was nothing. Everybody was calling it a scam. You could have bought Dash for dirt. So we were always looking to find that next Dash. And I'm not saying this is, but when we start to look down the list and you have the Pivx's of the world and the Virges, Komodo, these are all in that $50 to $100 million market cap bucket. So then we stumbled across Lux. And Lux was at like 500,000 or 300. There was nothing to it, and it was kind of like we almost didn't bother to even look at it. Right? We're like, what is this? So we started to look into it, and what initially attracted me to the project was it was a privacy coin that was implementing something called parallel masternodes, which sounded really cool to me, but I didn't even know what the hell that was. They have a really nice algorithm and a model for staking, which Chris will talk about, where it's called static, where everybody gets the same staking reward. It's just whoever stakes more coins gets them more often, but it's not like you won't get any. If you put 100 Lux in, you will get rewards. So that was really cool. They were implementing things like the Lightning Network and SegWit. So I'm looking at this privacy coin with all these crazy features and only 300,000 or 400,000 market cap, and I'm like, I really got a gem. So I started to look into it further, and we went on forums, we went to Discord, and there was a lot of people that were concerned that they weren't confident in the project. There was a lot of scrutiny around it. People thought, you know, one thing was the website wasn't that great. You know, I'll say that. It could have been better. And the team was anonymous, as is common with a lot of privacy coins. So people are like, who are these devs? And instead of doing an ICO, they did something called the pre-mine, where they mined 5% of the total supply. But when you make a coin, you need some sort of funding, or else you can't market. So you don't have a whole team put together to do something for free. You know, that doesn't work that way. So one way or the next, they're going to get money. So I kind of like overlooked it. I'm like, all right, that's not scary for me. But at the same time, there were a lot of people that were like, Lux is no good. So it was something that I was very hesitant to promote. I didn't want to kind of jump out there and put myself on the line and say, hey, this is the coin. So Chris, as things started to develop, we started to see more activity on the GitHub. We started to interact with them more. And some things started to happen that made me feel more confident. And one of those things was there's a guy in my group, the dojo, which this guy Johnny, he's a master. He mines like every coin. He's got a serious mining thing going on. And he had enough Lux to have a master node. And he had commissioned somebody that he knew that had nothing to do with Lux to set up his master node, and the guy ended up stealing all of his Lux. So Johnny was heartbroken, as he should be. It's a lot. You need about 16K Lux to set up a master node. And at that time, I think Lux was about $1 or $2. So it was, 30 grand gone. And he's like, I'll call the FBI, and the guy's in a different country. And we spoke to the devs, and they really were kind enough to replace his master node out of their tokens. And you don't see that. I mean, they literally gave him 30 grand worth of Lux because of his incompetence, Sorry, Johnny. But anyway, that gesture showed me something, but it's not enough for me to just jump out and say this is the best. But Chris, why don't you because I am a layperson when it comes to these things, why don't you take them through what you've seen, what you've discovered, and what you think the future holds for Lux?
Yeah, sure. And you're 100% right. I mean, that does show a lot of integrity from the team, which I appreciated. When I started looking at it, of course, I was looking at a whole bunch of coins, including the coins like Virg, which you mentioned a bit earlier on, Solaris, and quite a few others. And when Lux came on the radar, well, what I started with is dissecting it technologically. And one of the things that was really interesting was the 5.16.12 protocol. It's to date right now the most efficient ASIC-resistant GPU mining algorithm. What that does, and this is really important, is it prevents large mining firms like Bitmain and all that to centralize the control over this currency. So since it's more GPU friendly, well, you'll have a whole bunch of people with mining rigs like I've got mining this coin all over the planet. So you get a real decentralization of the transactional validation for this coin. Add to that, it's got proof of stake 2, which is a much better incentivized proof of stake protocol that, as you mentioned earlier on, allows for the distribution of stake rewards regardless of how much you're staking. So people are encouraged to keep it in their wallet and open for staking. That also helps validate transactions and master nodes. So you have a truly decentralized validation method right there.
Right.
Then you've got this thing called parallel master nodes. Now, I'd never heard of this, and I wanted to make sure it wasn't just some kind of buzzword, but it's not. And it's a bit complicated, but the best way to explain this, a parallel master node, is almost like a software as a service built on top of the blockchains, which it could be private or it could be shared, a shared network with other trusted nodes on that chain that allows you to create third-party applications for it, private, even centralized applications, which sounds almost oxymoronic for a blockchain that aims to be decentralized, but there's real-world applications to that, and I'm going to get that to a little bit further. But this allows for some truly great stuff. Not only does it allow for decentralizing applications and privatized applications, but it also allows for a greater security, because if you're going to use something like LuxSend, which is a refund of the CoinJoin protocol for the privacy, it's got to go through these parallel master nodes.
Okay. So these features would be, as described by their team, is something that would be useful to like small banking networks, things of that nature. Is that the target, you would say? Or
well, actually, the applications are limitless. I mean, you could potentially take, and this is one of the aims. You could take Bitcoin transactions and tie them with Ethereum transactions. So you could tie the Bitcoin blockchain with the Ethereum blockchain or the Zcash blockchain, Monero, whatever, and you could have this trans application.
It's like a smart bridge.
Yeah, like a smart bridge.
So exactly. I like Ark, and that sounds awfully similar. But is there a difference?
Yeah, there is a difference. I mean, in that you could the process that ties them could also be a trigger. So, in other words, this would be kind of a weird application for it. But you could have a series of banks using the Ripple protocol,
right, and
a series of banks that don't have Ripple and still have to use Swift to do a wire transfer, and then you could develop a PMN, a parallel master node, with a software application or a trigger inside there that could say, under these set of conditions, these Ripple transactions will go through the network and will create smart contracts that will trigger Swift transactions to these banks at the other end. So it really allows you to bridge a lot of different platforms together.
It's wild. I mean,
it's crazy. Yeah.
Do you know of another project that's? Would you say this is Ark is the closest, or is there something else like this?
Ark is the closest, but I think Lux is really not only.
It's really unique, right? Like this. This is why I went crazy. I was like, wait, it's doing what? Because I didn't realize that.
Yeah. It's that whole technology is behind something called LuxGate, and obviously it's not going to be something that you'll just be able to put on the Lux protocol. It's going to have to be validated blockchains and validated applications and environments working with the Lux core team. And once these are determined to be valid, they'll be able to interact with other validated blockchains and processes.
Right. All right. Anything else from the tech, because that was heavy. It's a lot, and at the end of the day, it was so much more. It was like Pandora's box, and from my understanding, to actually implement these features, they will need to do a hard fork. Which what we've heard is coming like very soon. Yeah, very soon, like in like a matter of days, weeks, something. It could be any day now.
Yeah, they're going to have to. I mean, I know for a fact because I'm subscribed to their GitHub and also to their Discord channel, and their devs are, I don't know what they're on, but they are crazy developing. There's always updates, and it's not just updating a README file or something like that. There's actually some really substantial updates that are being done, and releases, actually functional releases that of some of the features that are coming up. Right. Another one of which is smart contracts. Smart contracts is a functionality that I think is very critical for the development of a mature blockchain. And for those that don't know what a smart contract is, because you hear this pretty often in the crypto space.
Yeah, everybody knows smart contract, but not everyone can explain it.
Yeah, exactly.
This is a little lesson.
If you look at contract models today, you require a third party, always a third party to interact with, say you've got a buying contract with a supplier. Well, you need a third party to validate that contract and to enforce it legally if you need to. This puts a lot of companies at risk and procedures at risk, and risk could be a financial risk because there's financial overhead doing this. It could be a single point of failure risk because the company could go under, the ones that you're relying on for the contract could go under, or something could happen that, certain environments change for that company that they're no longer able to enforce for you. Anyways, but it is a single point of failure, and if anything, the most important one is the economic one. That's the inherent problem that we've got with centralization today. Whether it's banking, whether it's anything that you do, the centralization of procedures, yes, provides a certain amount of security, but mostly that security, and very often that security, I should say, is misplaced. It's not a true security. It's just a sold one. Okay. Because that single point of failure and increased cost of operations is definitely not part of security in my understanding of those definitions.
Back to my spot where I'm kind of looking and analyzing these projects with the help of, my partners like Chris and Iron Fist Stillman, the analysts. We look at tons of projects, and this one really stood out to me, obviously. But there were things that were concerning. So like the devs were anonymous. Recently, they made a new website. They're rebranding to Lux Core. And they also announced that the dev team will be no longer anonymous. We're going to get to meet that team, the same people that we've spoken to over Discord, who've been very nice and responsive, and they answered all of our questions in a transparent way. Between what they did for Johnny, one of the big things were the amount of tokens that were pre-mined, and I've heard time and time again, I can't guarantee this, they don't have it in writing, but I've heard on numerous occasions that a token burn is also coming. So that would go a long way to give even more confidence to the market. Now, the reason why I think this is such an opportunity, and still is, because if you look today, this is Monday, the price is moving. It's moving quickly. And for good reason. I think people are starting to understand, but they may not even understand the full potential. And when you combine the parallel masternodes, what they're doing with like that smart bridge-like technology, all these different features, add that up with a low coin count, and you look at the cap may be 2-3 million right now. Mm-hmm. All these other privacy coins are 50 million, 100 million. How do you stack Lux up against a coin like Virg or a coin,
Well, Virg is basically a copy of Darkcoin, Dogecoin Dark.
Right. And everybody loves Doge,
Yeah. Hey, I love Doge. I have it as a meme token in my portfolio. Right. I mean, it's worth $5, but I still have it.
Right.
But no, it's got. We mentioned a couple of features, and you also mentioned SegWit. Well, SegWit allows separate transaction signatures. That's the most important feature right here, right. And prevents the receiver or anyone intercepting the transaction to modify it without being detected. So when you've got a solid coin where you're going to have transactional value between large entities, you're going to need some features like that. Another one that's super important that no other coin has is multi-signatures.
Right.
I mean, that's a big problem in a lot of companies where you have budgets that you can't have a CFO or a controller always validating every transaction. Well, if you give a department a budget and it's on that blockchain and it requires multiple signatures from managers inside that blockchain to be able to release some of those transactions, it could be money, it could be other transactions like POs or anything like that. Well, that's something that's really valuable. So the added value of this coin in a purely business perspective is enormous compared to the others.
Okay. So now for the $1 million question, or the Aston Martin question. Where a coin like this with all these fundamentals, this age, I mean, where do you see it as far as a market cap perspective? Where do you think it could land reasonably compared to what else is out there?
Yeah.
I'm curious.
Look, in my opinion, and I mean, I could be off low, like it could be off high, but I can't see this under 100.
100 million.
Yeah.
Market cap.
Yeah.
Right. See, I was like, hey, this should be 20 million, 30 million.
No.
But then after these new developments, so why do we think it will continue to grow? Number one, people don't have a clue what it is. They still don't know. There are people buying it that don't know. There are people selling it. They just think it's some privacy coin that has blah, blah, blah. So there will be more awareness in the market to what exactly is going on with this coin. That's number one, and that's the most important thing. Number two, there's going to be a hard fork with a rebrand, which will bring further attention, and these new features will start to become implemented. Number three, they're only on Cryptopia. That will change. They're killing it in volume. Exchanges only want coins that have volume.
Yeah.
So you can see them starting to get added to other exchanges like KuCoin, HitBTC, Binance. They work their way up as the volume grows. Number four. Is there a number four? Do you need more? Does there have to be more? The coin. Oh yeah, there's 500,000 in circulation, and I think there's 14 masternodes locked up. So that means That's like half of the coin supply is locked up in masternodes, so there are no coins. The demand is insane.
It is.
People are staking it too. That's not even counting the people that are staking it. So when you think about what's this coin going to be worth, you know, I think it'll go up. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
So I think
we can't forget also that this coin's only a couple months old.
Yeah.
You know, there's hardly any history to this coin where, you know, it had time to go up and down and up and down. This coin is going to shoot straight up because I don't think there is any way for it to go down.
Well, it could. Anything could happen. Listen, people, it could go up, it could go down, it could go up. But at the end of the day, I think people with a vision are going to see the value, and you know, nobody's selling it. That's the thing. People are holding it, they're staking it, they're getting 2 to 10 lux a day extra. It's just building up, and you know, that being said, if you're in my groups, if you're in the dojo, which is my private group, we're going to attach the waiting list, by the way. But you know, we're all very bullish on this at this point, and you know, I hope you guys, at least if you don't invest, at least do research, and maybe this may inspire you to dig deep sometimes, because truth be told, these are the projects that make, you know, life-changing money for real. This is not my first rodeo, and when I see something like this, and people see it, and it's just like there's an excitement, and people, you don't see it anymore. You know, a lot of the times when you see people now, because the market has changed so significantly, it's very hard for coins to make extended runs where you're getting that 10x, 20x, 50x ROI. But you do see it when you do an ICO. So if you do a really good ICO, like Dragon Chain or Icon or something like Kyber was a good one. These ones you end up hitting 10, 20x because you're buying at ICO rate. Being that Lux didn't have an ICO, there aren't investors in there before you, so you're getting it at the bottom rate. And from there, that's why I think when I compare to what else is out there, the fundamentals, it's a no-brainer to me. It's a no-brainer. It's something that I'm going to hold because, you know, I told people, I alluded to it a month ago on Twitter. I said, I just bought a coin that's going to buy me an Aston Martin. This is my Aston Martin coin. And everybody's like, what is it? What is it? No one guessed it. Nobody knew, you know? And this is it. So I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please do not forget to hit the like button if you liked it. I do get some like one thumbs down. There's some haters out there, but I think people are gonna like it. And yeah, subscribe, get the notifications, and we'll see you soon. Take care. Thanks, Chris.